Hey, friends and family, we're back. I'm going to try to make this short and brief, but we all know that it's not going to happen. But anyway, today's video isn't one that I had planned on making. It just come after a response that I received last night that I wanted to share with the general public and those of you that are watching and keeping up with this, because it's quite alarming, to be honest with you, and should concern you as voters. But before I get too far into this, I want to say something. I refer to my incident, my accident that caused my injuries, because I can talk about it because I have knowledge of it. I know what happened and how it happened, and I don't have to worry about releasing somebody else's personal information that they may or may not want out there for the world to know. I personally don't care for the world knowing any of my business, and as these videos go on, you're going to find out some stuff that you probably don't want to know, but it's important because of the people that are currently in the administration up there. Stuff that y'all need to know about them. In order to expose them, I've got to, well, basically expose myself, which I'm willing to do for the betterment of society and to do away with the good old buddy system here in White County, if that's what it takes. Anyway, so I'm very methodical about things. I do things in a set pattern. I ask specific questions in a very specific manner, and they may not be relevant to this video at all, but at some point we'll come back to these. So please just bear with me during some of these videos. I know that a lot of times it may seem like I'm rambling, kind of like now, but I promise you, especially anybody that knows me, y'all all know what I'm doing, and you know why I'm doing it. It's for a very specific reason. So anyway, back to the video that I released yesterday and the responses. The responses are still there. If you want to go back and read them, you're welcome to do so, unless they get taken down by somebody. I'm not going to take them down. I don't believe in censoring anything. I think that in order for you to make an informed decision, which is what all of my videos are about, I believe that you should be able to see my side of the story, their side of the story. Everybody's views should be out there for you to see without any censorship, so you can make an informed decision before you go into the voting booth and elect your next sheriff. Okay. I got a response back from Nikki Miller, which is Chief Deputy Phillip Miller's wife. Okay. She was one of two responses that I got on my video, and I'm not going to go into as deep detail about as I was going to for time's sake, but we may do it later. But anyway, here is her opening statement. Okay, now, voters, if you don't hear anything else, I want you to hear this opening statement, her opening line in her statement to me. Quote from Nikki Miller, quote, "I listened to this and everything inside of me wants to lash out," end quote. That's what she says. Lash out. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't hear anything else I say, you better hear this. Because I've worked at the sheriff's department. I know how the good old buddy system goes. I've been a victim of the retaliation of the sheriff's department for speaking out. I have turned them over to the Department of Labor, who's actually doing an ongoing investigation as we speak. I spoke to them yesterday. So I've been the personal victim of retaliation by Chief Deputy Phillip Miller on a professional level because he was able to do so. But anyway, with that said, his wife, Chief Deputy Phillip Miller's wife, has decided that she wants to lash out. She didn't say voice my opinion or anything else. She uses the words, specific words, lash out. Now, ladies and gentlemen, why is that important? Let me tell you why that's important. Because I don't know what Miss Miller's intent is as far as lashing out. But I promise you, if you elect Chief Deputy Phillip Miller to be your next county sheriff, if Miss Miller decides to lash out and it becomes aggressive and criminal in nature, then the agency that's going to be investigating her is going to more than likely be White County, and her husband damn sure ain't going to do anything to her. other agencies, the way that things work out, they're not going to do anything to her. Our system isn't going to do anything to her because her husband is the sheriff. I mean, everybody that's of age and able to vote has enough sense to know how things work, especially here in White County. It all depends on who you are. So, and I thought it was pretty brazen and bold for her to just come right out and say, lash out. I mean, that in itself to me says that she, just like her husband, feels like they're above everybody else and they can say and do whatever they want to do. But anyway, my question to you is, as voters and White County citizens, do you really want to have a sheriff in office that if you have an opposing view other than his, or if you have something negative to say about the sheriff, that you have to deal with his wife lashing out at you? Do you really want to have to deal with a spouse along with the sheriff himself if you have an issue with the sheriff's department or the sheriff? I mean, you would think, well, a reasonable person would think that after a video like that come out, if anything was to be said, that Chief Deputy Phillip Miller would be man enough to actually say it himself instead of sending his wife out to defend his honor. So, yeah, Chief Deputy Phillip Miller, I'm calling you out. I think that's... You didn't even respond at all, period. The only person that responded was your wife. I don't really even have a term for it. All I can do is laugh that you can't defend yourself, so you send your wife out, and you want to be the sheriff of Black County. Okay, with that said, I want to get real quick over to some questions that I posed to Chief Deputy Phillip Miller involving my incident. And again, they're specific questions for a specific reason, so we can figure out intent, character, and all that good stuff later on, okay? In the opening statement in the email, because I can't post to his page, I don't know if that's the way the page is set up, I don't know. But anyway, I had to send an email to Chief Deputy Phillip Miller's campaign site to get answers. And if he responds, I will share those answers with you. But I'm really honestly not expecting him to respond. His wife might respond for him, but I don't know that Phillip will. But anyway, I was discussing why they decided the very next day after my injury at work that they disposed of the defective part that caused my injuries. And so I had 5 questions relating to that. First question was, who made that decision? Who decided to throw away the defective part that was obviously in really horrible shape? I mean, there's no doubt that it was badly messed up. Second question is, why was it necessary to throw it away instead of preserving it? I mean, you would think by him being a law enforcement officer and there being injuries involved that they would have preserved everything, especially considering the fact that there was chemicals involved, that they would have preserved everything that they could in pristine condition as they possibly could to help assist in medical treatment or figuring out what happened and conduct an investigation of some sort. To my knowledge, there was only one report done, and that was by my shift sergeant, but there was absolutely nothing else done by anybody else in the administration that I'm aware of. So Chief Deputy Phillip Miller, if you see this, if those are out there, I'd like a copy of those. And my third question to him is, why did you personally and professionally choose not to check on my family during any of this time? The reason why this is important to you as voters is this. I was one of his deputies. My family, he knows my family. He knows my wife and my kids and knows of them and knows me. Yet he never, other than Monday morning meetings or during work hours, he never checked on my family. Why is this important to you? Because if he doesn't even have enough compassion, decency, or courtesy to check on the well-being of one of his own deputies and his own deputies' families, then what makes you think as a White County voter, seriously, that he gives 2 shits about you? He doesn't. He could care less. I mean, if it's like me telling you that I care about you and I won't even go in there and check on my wife who's got a headache. That's just, he doesn't give 2 shits about you. So that's very important to you as a voter. My next question to him is, if elected sheriff, what steps are you going to take to investigate in the line of duty injuries? Why is that important? Because as deputies and families of deputies and other employees, there needs to be some steps taken to where they actually do some investigations, preserve this evidence, might get rid of it. I mean, they literally destroyed evidence. Um, I'm not sure how they managed to get by with that, but Swat County, and well, they did. My last question: if elected, how will you assist in providing assistance to deputies who are injured in the line of duty and their families? And when I say provide assistance, I'm not talking about financial assistance. I'm talking about just helping them with either providing some sort of support service to the family to point them in the right direction where they can receive some sort of help, with medical attention, religious beliefs, just a support team. What support team does he plan on putting in place should this happen to one of his deputies in the future? And I pray to God it doesn't happen to anybody else in the future, that no one ever gets injured again. Reality is that's going to happen, and there needs to be something put in place. So anyway, there's basically the gist of today's video. I tried to make it short and sweet. I think that I'm going to recap everything real quick. Still waiting for answers from Chief Deputy Phillip Miller. He honestly hasn't had time to answer me yet. I just sent that a little while ago. His wife, who I've only met in passing, wants to lash out. Don't know exactly what she means by that, but intent is always hard to prove. But those words alone are aggressive and, as I said, threatening if you decide to take it that far. Personally, I don't care if you can lash out all she chooses to do so. And we know that she'll be protected, because even if Phillip been chief deputy, I mean, she can pretty much get by with whatever she wanted to do anyway. So, but anyway, think about it. Who's going to be operating the sheriff's department? Is it going to be Phillip Miller if he wins the election, or is it going to be his wife running it? If you have some dealings that you need to deal with, are you going to be dealing with Phillip, or are you going to be dealing with his wife? He can't even come to his own defense on a Facebook video. So I don't know how he's actually going to handle actual true criticism and actual crisis as a sheriff if he gets elected. So there's a lot of issues, a lot of questions. Anyway, think about it all for yourself. And in closing this video, I want to say thank you all. God bless you all. And this is Memorial Day weekend. Take a moment and reflect back and honor all of those who have died for our freedoms and sacrificed for what we have today. It is an honor and a privilege to be able to live in the United States of America. And it's a greater honor to have people like those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice to have lived so they could ensure that we have the freedoms that we have. So just love everybody. I know it's not Veterans Day. This is Memorial Day, a time for us to reflect upon those that have died protecting us and serving. But if you see a veteran, thank a veteran as well. And what we're talking about, thanking people, just first responders in general, police, fire, EMS, volunteers, in any capacity, just say thank you. But this weekend, really focus on those that have died and made the ultimate sacrifice, and say a prayer for those families that are still surviving. And it's just not a 3-day weekend so everybody can grill out and have a good time. It's so people can get together and remember and reflect and be grateful for what they have. Anyway, I appreciate all of you for taking the time to listen to these videos, and I promise you there's more to come. I thank you all. I love you all. And if I can ever be of any assistance to any of y'all, please feel free to get in touch with me. I'll do everything I can, and hopefully by now y'all know that. Have a great day.